great.
All right.
All right, we will call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I am now going to turn the meeting over to our business manager, Mr. Beek.
Okay, I'm going to have Dawn Marie join me up at the podium. Dawn Marie Johnson, at a regular meeting of the school board held on Monday, May 22nd, 2023, the school board declared you were a duly elected member of the school board of Sioux Falls School District 49-5. Section 13.8.14 of the South Dakota law provides that newly elected members of the school board shall qualify and assume their office at the annual meeting of the school board in July by taking and subscribing to an oath or affirmation to support the laws and Constitution of the United States and the state of South Dakota, and faithfully perform the duties of school board membership. At this time, as business manager of the district, it is my pleasant duty to administer this oath. Would you please raise your right hand and state the oath?
I, Dawn Marie Johnson, have been elected to the office of member of the School Board of Sioux Falls School District 49-5 of Minnehaha County and Lincoln County, South Dakota. Do solemnly swear that I will support the laws and Constitution of the United States and the state of South Dakota, and that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of the school board membership.
Please sign the oath. I brought a pen. So we had 2 copies. The original will be placed on file with the permanent records of the district. A copy is for your files. Welcome aboard.
All right, thank you. Sorry, I could hear just a little bit of that, and I guess I should have probably started with the meeting by just explaining that we have summer travels, and it's hard sometimes to get everybody together as we should, but we are grateful that we have quorum now that Dawn Marie has been sworn in. So thank you, Dawn, and congratulations. I think I can speak for the full board and just acknowledge how much we appreciate you taking on this role and volunteering your time and your efforts to being part of the Sioux Falls School Board, because it is rewarding for sure, but challenging also at times. So again, we appreciate you and congratulations to joining us on the board. Okay, I am going to move on then. I'm assuming we have everybody at the board table that we need to?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 4 on the agenda, we have the approval of June payroll and claims to vendors. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. All right, we are moving on to item 5, organization of the school board. I will turn over the gavel to our business manager, Todd Beek, to assume as chair.
Thank you. I'd now entertain nominations for the school board president.
I would nominate Carly Ryder.
I would second that motion.
Hearing no others, we'll vote on it. We'll just do a voice vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll now do the election of the vice president of the school board. Since Carly isn't here, I'll do that as well. I would now entertain nominations for the vice president.
I would like to nominate Mark Murin as vice president.
Thank you. Hearing no other nominations, we will do a voice vote again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. And I'll turn the gavel over to you.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, now.
Congratulations, Mark.
Oh, thank you. Save it for maybe. You see me perform. So we now address the approval of the minutes for the previous meeting held on June 26, 2023. The minutes have been distributed to the board members. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the last board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, no one's in opposition. So we'll now move on to the good news report.
Well, we've already had great news with the swearing in of Don Marie. So welcome. Look forward to working with you as well. We have a two-part good news report. So actually, I guess we're rolling in three parts of good news tonight. A few months ago, I received a call from a gentleman who wanted to develop a partnership with the Sioux Falls School District in some way. Bill Strandell from the Air and Space Forces Association, Sioux Falls chapter. I had no idea they even existed, but we have spent some time in the last couple of months getting to know each other's processes and how they might be able to impact the Sioux Falls School District. And one of the first ways that they're impacting the Sioux Falls School District is they had an opportunity to select a Teacher of the Year for their Air and Space Forces Association Sioux Falls chapter. And so Bill Strandell and Colonel Dyerly can come forward here. We made a nomination with their support. Where are you at, Bill, Colonel? We made a nomination for a teacher who has gone above and beyond in the area of science and space. And that person was recommended by CTE Principal Josh Hall and Vice Principal Don Reiswick. And together we wrote a nomination on behalf of Lorene Maylert. Lorene is the CTE aviation instructor, and she really launched the aviation program out there, pun intended. Last year, she was given a $250,000 grant from the Department of Ed to purchase 2 state-of-the-art Frasca flight simulators, and then we also have had one also. So we have a total of 3 flight simulators, and the aviation program at SDSU, which is a noted program, they only have 1 of these flight simulators. So our students are receiving some phenomenal education, and that's all thanks to the work of Lorene for going the extra mile, making that grant application and then receiving that. So when we made the nomination of Lorene Maylert to receive the Teacher of the Year award, these fine gentlemen saw that nomination to be fit, as did the national or the higher ups of your organization. So Lorene, please come forward.
I will be brief. Lorraine, there are 2 things going on here. What you've done at CTE and with those simulators is spectacular. And number 2, You are all the energy and 1,000 times the synergy with everybody. It's spectacular what she's doing out there. You just need to know how great she is. And we just love you for it. So without further ado, I promise to be brief. Instead of $250,000, we have a $250 check to say thank you. I'll set that there. You can take it as you go. But here it is. This is the to Laureen Maylert. We proudly recognize you as our chapter teacher of the year. Terrific. There's some other little gifts here. You will discover them. Just some nice bling.
Perfect. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I really appreciate it.
The aviation program is amazing. We do awesome work for our kids. I get choked up. I just appreciate being honored this way and being recognized. So thank you.
Congratulations. Way to go.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you for sure. I've seen your hand first work at CTE Academy, Lorraine, and we really appreciate what you do and the kids that you've touched throughout all this. It's good to see you.
Well, second part tonight is a school spotlight on Sonia Sotomayor Elementary. Our principal, Dr. Tracy Veek, is here this evening to share a little bit about the wonderful work being done at Sonia Sotomayor as well. So I'll welcome Dr. Veek.
Welcome, and thank you all for the privilege of being here. I love talking about my school, but I am on a stopwatch and I turned it on, so there we go. So my name is Tracy Veek, and I just finished my 9th year with the Spanish immersion program, 7 years at Sonia Sotomayor. Is it gonna work? We're trying something new here, so it's running off of Jane's computer. All right. As many of you know, in 2006, Dr. Holman came back from a conference and said, we should start an immersion program. So a committee was formed, and in 2008, 25 kids started at Rosa Parks in the kindergarten classroom. In 2012, due to high demand, they opened 2 classes of kindergarten at Robert Frost. And in 2014, the school board approved the new Spanish immersion elementary school. In 2015, a committee got together and perused 170 plus name suggestions, and the committee came up with or chose Sonia Sotomayor, our first Latina Supreme Court Justice. And so that was our name going forth. And in 2016, we opened our school. We currently have 670 pre-K through 5th grade students. We have 51 full-time employees and 9 part-time employees. And we serve students all throughout Sioux Falls, and including 5 surrounding districts. Out of district enrollment, right? That's good. Our demographics here, you can see we're 77% Caucasian, 15% Hispanic. I am gonna have to take off the glasses. We have 0.3% Native American, 3.9 multi-race, 0.1 Pacific Islander, and let's see, 0.6 Asian, and 1.6 Black. Where in the world are we all from? Well, we are so blessed to have folks from 13 different countries this next school year. I throw in Bosnia. 2 of our custodians are from Bosnia, and they do teach our students a lot of different phrases in Bosnian, so that's exciting. But Argentina, Chile, Colombia, El Salvador, Guatemala is a new one that we're adding this year. Honduras, Mexico, Peru, Puerto Rico, Spain, the United States, and Venezuela. And so our kids just get this rich, rich culture from, because there are different dialects, there's different vocabulary, there are different customs and traditions, and our kids get to learn throughout their 6 years with us. They get to learn from all those different folks. We're really proud of our students. The STAMP is a standard academics standards-based measurement of proficiency. And so we assess our kids in 2nd and 5th grade at Sonia Sotomayor on their skills on cold prompts in Spanish. And so in 2nd grade, these students have they take this in May, and our students have only had 3 years of Spanish at this point, but 86% of our students met their language target in listening, 77 met our target in reading, 90% in speaking, which was really exciting, and 94 in writing. And we all know how hard writing is in your native language in 2nd grade. And then our 5th graders were just so excited. 98% met or exceeded their target. Many of them exceeded the target too. In listening, 96 in reading, 93 in speaking, and 94% in writing. The targets were set with a committee of K through 12 administrators and teachers with the work of a psychometrist from Avant Assessments, which administers the stamp. And those targets were set that we're with 7 years of data. So we feel that they are pretty solid and relevant. And so we're just excited about those numbers. But what do they do in English? Is it advancing for you? There we go. All right, so our students are taught solely in Spanish at school, yet they're still required to take the standardized assessments in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, the South Dakota assessment. And so I show you the numbers here. 70% of our 3rd grade students were proficient in math, 66 at 4th grade, and 68% in 5th grade. And reading should be the next one. There we go. In reading, 71% of our 3rd grade students were proficient in reading. 69% were proficient in 4th grade, and 75% were proficient in 5th grade. And so this is due to the hard work of our parents. You know, when you sign your student up for this, we tell the parents, you are the sole educator, the sole teacher of English for your students until we introduce English language arts in 3rd grade. And our parents take that very seriously, so we're lucky because that's how we get numbers like this. Plus that bilingual brain code switching in between the 2 languages also helps out a lot with that. In 2022, we were selected as a national blue ribbon school. Down in the corner, that's Kate Parker addressing our student body and staff of over 700 folks there. And Dr. Staben was able to join us in Washington, D.C. When we arrived there, we learned that out of the 297 schools selected across the nation, we were the only language immersion program that was a blue ribbon school. So that was pretty exciting. To get the kids all in blue shirts, you know, ready for the surprise announcement that day, we also had them spell out Lobos. And I think there's a certain Excel guy in the room that was pretty excited at my skills of charting that out on an Excel spreadsheet. The hands graphic there, it says, there are over 700 hands there making up the blue ribbon with the 2 little guys. And it says, I played a hand in making this a blue ribbon school. So we're very proud of that. We try to introduce a lot of different and celebrate a lot of different cultures. And so in Mexico, they celebrate Dia de los Muertos, which is actually a celebration of those who have passed. It starts on October 31st and ends on November 1st. And each day, something different is added to the ofrenda. And so one day we're celebrating the children who have passed. And then the following day on November 2nd, we celebrate the adults. And this is something that our teachers and our staff, because 2 of our custodians are also from Mexico, they really share in that tradition and teach the kids. So it's a learning moment at all times, but that's a great, one of the cultural things we share with our kids. Another is St. Jordi Day, which happens in northern Spain, in Catalonia, and it is on April 21st. And it is where people write books or stories, and they give them to someone else, and then they give you a rose in return. And so we had all the teachers that wanted to participate participate. They had their students write poems. We even had kindergarten students writing poems and reciting them in Spanish. And then a blind judge would read the poems and select the top 3. And so it was an absolutely wonderful day. Hopefully we'll get some of you there next year because it was great. It was our first time. We've got a lot of things we'll do differently, but it was a good one. And then Carnival is our big event at the end of the year. We do a combination of Carnival. It's very different in different countries, but many countries celebrate it. We took the little religious aspect out of that because we're a public school, and we just celebrate, and every grade level performs a song and a dance, and everybody's included. We had 3,500 roughly people on our playground and 7 food trucks and live music and live dancers. It was absolutely wonderful. And so we do that each year as well and just put a little flair from several different countries into that celebration. We believe in serving others at Sonia Sotomayor. That was a pillar when we opened our doors. We just sent 780 Spanish books to Guatemala through Libros para Todos, led by our kindergarten teacher, Senora Irma Landry. She grew up there, very, very impoverished. And she did not ever have a book. She went through school and never had a book of her own. And she was able to take those books and distribute them to schools. So many kids have books to take home. We gave $1,000 to Hayward Elementary's library. They're a sister school, so we gave each of their Spanish immersion classrooms $100. Breakfast and lunch was served to their staff during conferences and teacher appreciation through our PTO. May Day baskets were delivered to all of our neighborhood homes. As you know, we are very tightly spaced in there, and our neighbors are very greatly impacted by our lack of parking and drop-off areas. And so May Day baskets it was. We host a very large Veterans Day celebration every year. And this slide got a little wonky, but we were able to distribute 3,175 blankets this year through Project Warm Up to all 36 of our schools in Sioux Falls, the Visitation Center, Child's Voice, to children in crisis because they've been placed in foster care or maybe they've lost a parent. 2 of our students did this year, which was a difficult thing. The Ronald McDonald House, Sanford Children's Hospital, both NICUs, CPS, and other families. And that is a very quick but too long, I know, C's looking at it, presentation on Sonia Sotomayor. Do you have any questions?
Anybody on the board? Questions?
No questions. I just want to say thank you.
I'd like to say good work. I mean,
Thank you very much.
and I can tell how enthusiastic you are. Congratulate your teachers and students on the honor. It's wonderful.
Thank you so much. I do love my job, that's for sure.
Kate also has a comment.
Kate, you'd
I
like to have a
do.
comment?
Can you all hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Most of you know I have 2 sons, and one just graduated, but my youngest went through the Spanish immersion program or is going through the Spanish immersion program. And I can't speak more highly about a program that we have in Sioux Falls. I take that back. I can, because all of our programs are fantastic in Sioux Falls, but the Spanish immersion program is just it's a family, it is a commitment, and it is a spectacular program that we have available to our students in Sioux Falls, along with so many others that we have. When we talk about multiple pathways in Sioux Falls, I mean, we mean it. We have multiple pathways, and this is just one of them for our students to show success in learning and education and service. And so I just want to thank Principal Veek and all of her dedication and her staff's dedication in providing a really wonderful program that we are just so proud of here in Sioux Falls. And so just thank you for presenting to us tonight and just showcasing one of our very important pathways that we have available to our students. So thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now open the floor for individuals who wish to address the school board on non-agenda items. Please state your name and address for the record and limit your comments to 5 minutes. Okay, nobody on non-agenda items? We'll now open the floor if anybody wish to address the school board on specific agenda items. Please state your name and address for the record, and also limited to 5 minutes. Seeing none, we'll move on. I would like to request a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting as it is being presented.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. We will now address conflicts of interest. So, the board members and administrators are required to disclose any potential conflicts of interest related to the items of today's agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the items 12A, conflicts of interest for administrators?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Can I have a motion to approve the 12B, conflicts of interest for Mark Murren?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. Oh, I abstained for that vote. So I say nothing. Sorry. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the 12C, conflict of interest for Carly Ryder?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Did we get an aye from Kate?
Did we get an aye from Kate?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, aye.
thank you. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the conflicts of interest for Kate Sarenbitz?
I motion.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. We're moving on to 2-0. Kate abstained. So we're moving on to the approval of the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes 2-0. Next order of business is the reports of the superintendent.
Yes.
And I'm going to, we'll have a few things on the list tonight. I'll read them off, and then we'll turn them over to the people who are presenting on those. First one, probably one of the most important agenda items tonight is passing of our budget and certification of levies. So I'll turn that to Todd Veek. We're also going to have a resolution. He'll give us some context and remind us just a little bit of what that's about. We did some legislative changes during this last session regarding board member terms. And so we have a resolution tonight that puts some of that in motion. We have a federal consolidated app report from Dr. Zeke. And then finally, we will have Becky Dorman talk about some requests for application waivers. And so with that, I will turn it over to you, Mr. Veek, and I'll pull up your slides.
Thank you. I just remind people that our budget process began in November when we set the outline of the budget for the budget makers to follow. There was 19 committees with about 150 people, teachers, administrators, community members, other classified staff from the district, and of course some administrators that prepared budgets. We met in March to finalize a budget to bring to the school board. And then we met in 2 work sessions in early April to go through the budget and get full understanding of it. And then we had a preliminary approval of the budget, tentative approval of the budget at our second regular meeting in April. And so today we're approving it, making a final approval of the budget.
Hang on. It doesn't like it when you first get started. So I'm gonna click.
Thanks. So here's kind of what we're going, just highlights of the board materials you have. There are no changes since the April preliminary adoption, so there's nothing new tonight. The general fund budget includes a 7% increase in the state aid formula. We have raised our starting teacher salary to in excess of $50,000. That's up from just less than $38,000 in FY20. Our total tax supported budget is $321.8 million. The tax levy for homeowners is projected to drop by 28 cents next year. The tax levy for a typical home in Sioux Falls has increased by about 2.3% per year since 2000. I know these numbers are kind of small, but you've got them in front of you or online. You've got them. Here's the breakdown of our budget, including all our funds. The general capital, special ed, and bond redemption funds are tax supported funds. Those are funds we raise property taxes for. Then we have some projects funds in there, which are just offshoots of the capital outlay fund. Then we have some funds that run more like businesses, including food service, ComEd, reprographics, house construction, self-insurance, trust fund, which bills either other funds or individuals or both to make those operate. So the total expenditure budget for all those funds is $421 million being proposed. And most of those, a lot of those funds that operate businesses, a lot of their revenue is coming from another tax supported fund in the district. So it isn't quite as big as $421 million because we're spending the same dollar once in the fund and then once in the enterprise fund. So that's the total. And then you can see here's our request to the auditor oops, I got advanced to do that, don't I? Sorry. Our request to the county auditors for our property taxes, the ag, the non-ag, and owner occupied. The non-ag, non-owner occupied are in the state aid formula. That's the max you can charge in the state aid formula. Then we do have an opt-out for $11 million. So that comprises our general fund. The capital outlay fund there is no state aid there. That's virtually all local. There's a little bit of federal money. So we're requesting $36.5 million. That's the same as last year. So that as valuations go up, the levy on that will drop. Special education fund is another fund that is part of the state aid formula, and we're requesting the amount they allow us to in there. And then the bond redemption fund is paying off the bond that was passed in 2018, and the amount on that this year is just a little over $12 million. So then those are the levies that we will send off to the county auditors. So the administrative recommendation for this is to adopt the budget and approve sending the levies to the county auditors. I'd stand by for questions.
Seeing none, I would like to request a motion to approve the adoption of the 24 budget and certification of the levies and county auditors.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. We've approved it. So it's been moved and seconded, so we're in business. The next agenda is, I'll figure it out. Motion passes 3-0. And we're on to
I think I have.
Am I screwed up already?
You're fine.
I got them off on my.
You gotta go to the next one.
Hang on. Let me get out of this and I'll get to the end of the day.
We're going to Todd on his resolution.
Yep.
All right, so last legislative session, we talked to our legislators prior to the session and floated an idea of them about going away from, or allowing school districts to go away from 3-year terms, and we suggested 4-year terms. And the reason is because when you have 3-year terms, you're always going to have elections every year, and you're going to have them half the time on odd numbered years, and there's no election to team up with or join. A few of them signed on and carried that bill, and it passed last year, and so it allows us to bring this forward to you today. So it's House Bill 1123. Terms currently are 3 years. The bill allows school boards to either change to 2 or 4 years. That was an amendment they made to the bill, and it encourages schools to combine with local elections to increase turnout and save funds. So in Sioux Falls, combining even year elections increases our voter turnout by 5 times. When we have uneven years, we get about 5 times the turnout on average is when we are on our own in an odd year. And election costs us about $50,000 when we have it, so it'll save us that about $50,000 every other year. And to get this done, because you don't want, unless you're going to 2-year terms, you don't want 4 board members on one election, 1 on the other, or 5 on one and none on the other even year. So we have a phase-in period. So what it is you can see there, the 2024 election is going to be 2 2-year terms. And Dawn Marie was just elected to a 3-year term in 23. So when those 2-year terms are up in 26, that's on the bottom there, I'm jumping around, you'll have 3 board members up and they'll be running for 4-year terms. And then we do have a 2025 election. We have another group that has been elected for 3 years. And they were elected in 2022. They'll be up in 2025. When they're up in 2025, we don't want to do a 4-year term because they'll be on 2029. So they'll do a 3-year term and they'll come up then in 2028. And then in 2028 and going forward, all the elections will be, or all the terms will be for 4 years. And you'll have 3 in one of the years and you'll have 2 in the other. And we won't have any regular board elections anyway in odd number years. So we'll always be able to combine with another election. So this is a public hearing. So after the public hearing, the administrative recommendation is to acknowledge the public hearing and then adopt the resolution to convert school board terms to 4 years. And I could answer questions too.
Open.
Good evening. My name is Chad Bishop. I live at 7405 South Valencia. So I'd like to support the transition to 4-year terms for the reasons stated, both to increase participation in the democratic process. I think that bodes well for our society, and also to reduce the cost. However, with that additional time, I would also like the board to consider and the administration to consider that should legislation appear this year for recall of board members, given a certain threshold that we could all agree upon, that you'd support that legislation when it comes, just so we can have an additional layer of accountability given the terms are going to be extended. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to comment on the resolution? Okay, so then I can entertain a motion for the acknowledgement of the public hearing and approve the resolution to convert to 4-year terms as presented.
I motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. I would call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None, obviously. 3-0, the motion passes.
Okay, and with that, we'll turn it over to Dr. Zeke for the Federal Consolidated Application Report.
Thanks for leaving me the clicker.
See if it cooperates. There we go.
It's kind of cooperating. Way off track. Going the wrong way. Good evening, board. I just need to, there we go. Well, I'm here to share with you the Federal Consolidated Application Report, which was submitted to the state for approval on June 30th. And as part of the Every Student Succeeds Act, we must explain how the federal grant allocations will be used in the areas of Title I, improving basic programs, and that's really to help students of poverty meet those challenging state standards. Title II, ensuring excellence in teaching and learning, and Title IV, student support and academic enrichment. I'd like to first start off with a 3-year look at our funding, which was occurring during COVID, and the ESSER funding. So our Title I Part A, Title I is broken into 2 parts. First, basic programming in Part A, and neglected and delinquent in Part D. And you can see that we had maintained from fiscal year 22 to 23 in Title 1A, but then we went up and an increase of 1.2 million for this next coming year in FY24. In Title I Part D, we dropped from 266,000 to 215, and then basically maintained or went up just a little bit. In Title II Part A, we saw a drop last year, but then an increase back to this year, which maintains over the course of 3 years. And in Title IV, we saw an increase last year, and then really just maintaining again for this next coming school year. So overall, with all of those, we went from 7.6 last year to 9 million for next year. Talking about Title I Part A, most of everything that I'm going to talk about is maintaining or staying the same. The biggest change that we had was the ability to collect free or reduced lunch data. As you know, there was a freeze during ESSER and COVID. And when we did that, we saw just a little bit of a shuffle in there, mainly with Hawthorne Elementary being a CEP school, meaning community eligibility provision, where they look at the SNAP and TANF numbers. And because they had such a high level of poverty, it didn't make sense to collect free or reduced lunch. So there was a decision made that 100% of the kids that attend that school would receive free or reduced breakfast and lunch. And so then we go down in rank order. We have to rank them. So we go from Hawthorne to the Elementary Immersion Center, Terry Redland, Lowell, Bridges, and then all the way down to Garfield. Funding requests that go towards Title I Part A include reducing the class size from our average of 24.3 down to a range of 18 to 20 in kindergarten and first grade, instructional coaches at those 10 title schools, which are all elementary, SIPS reading teachers in first grade, success coordinators and social workers, English learner teachers, Tier 2 teachers and behavior facilitators, professional development that the schools write with their school improvement plans, parent and family engagement activities, a homeless liaison, and transportation fees, and 217 preschool slots. And then with each of the title programs, there are equitable services for our non-public schools. In Title I Part D, we fund a reading teacher, a 1.0 full-time reading teacher at Summit Oaks. We have a supplemental math teacher at the Juvenile Detention Center, half-time. That person also is our transition coordinator for both of those programs. And then we have dropout and prevention success coordinator at high school. In Title II, that's mainly focused on ensuring excellent teaching, professional development. the PD requests in the school improvement plans that were just submitted by each school. For the non-title schools, we have instructional coaches at the elementary, middle and high school Spanish immersion coach. We have training in the summer for Boys Town Well Managed, the teacher pathways program in the high schools, professional development opportunities district-wide, that would be for WIDA, which would be EL, English learners, gifted, music conferences. We have an Art of Ed online PD program for fine arts, and we have a coaching academy for coaches and administrators. In Title IV, you can think of that as 3 buckets. The first is titled Improving Conditions for Learning, otherwise known as Safe and Secure. The second is ensuring a well-rounded education for students. And third is the enhancement of technology. We really didn't have expenses in technology since ESSER had played such a strong role in that part. So I would see that increasing as the years come up. But in the improving conditions for learning for safe and secure, we're looking at a Eagle Vision program at George McGovern, which includes a Tier 2 teacher and a behavior facilitator. We have a counselor at Joe Foss, and we have a success coordinators at Whittier and George McGovern. In well-rounded education, we look for the SIPS reading intervention coaches. There are 1.5. And we fund AP exams for students who are unable to afford those fees. In equitable services, they look towards similar things like STEM or STEAM, Project Lead the Way, fine arts programming, and they do have a typing program for the technology. That is an overview of the federal consolidated application grants that we just wrote in the consolidated program. Questions? Comments?
Seeing no questions, I'd like to request a motion to acknowledge the report on consolidation application.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. So I'd like to move to the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? None. The motion passes 3-0. We'll now proceed to public hearing.
Nope, we'll go on to Becky first. She'll give some context.
Geez, Becky, I almost shut you out.
Good evening. I'm here this evening as part of a public hearing required by law when a school district is asking for an administrative waiver to administrative rules. And this evening we have 4 areas in which we are going to be requesting waivers to South Dakota administrative rules. They all have to do with teachers, teacher certification, and vacancies. The first one is called a plan of intent waiver. When we have plans of intent, the school district and the teacher who is not fully endorsed in their subject area have an agreement on how that teacher is going to become fully endorsed. And then they get 2 years to do that. The state does allow a 3rd year through this waiver process. So there'll be some individuals that will be able to pursue their endorsement through their 3rd year. The second area of our waiver request will be for special education. This will allow more pathways for us to grow our own special educators, as that is an area across the state and the nation of teacher shortage. The third area is a new step in a process for us for the international exchange teacher permit eligibility. We just heard earlier this evening about Sonia Sotomayor and Spanish immersion K-12 across our district as well. We have learned through our almost 15 years of recruiting that other countries do not have teacher licensing agencies like the South Dakota Department of Education. So when they apply with us, they don't have teaching certificates. So we have to request a waiver because that is something that the state is looking for, is their teaching certificate from their foreign country. that they just don't have. Their diploma from their university allows them to teach. So we have to apply for a waiver in that situation. And then the final is long-term substitutes. When we utilize a substitute teacher in a role for more than 45 days and the substitute teacher does not have an active South Dakota teaching license, we have to do this waiver process for that as well. So you'll see me up here in late summer being proactive for next year. And then you'll also see me mid-year for some that were like, oops, we got to get this done. And then also there'll be sometimes at the end of the year with, if we missed something, we'll come back and do the waiver so we're in compliance with state law. Do you have any questions?
Anyone from the public wishes to address the board in this matter, come forward, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing none. Can I have a motion to acknowledge the public hearing and authorize the administration to proceed the application for the waivers?
I motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Passes 3-0. Okay. Seeing no further business before the board, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I motion.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? None. 3-0. The motion passes. The meeting is adjourned. Our next meeting will be briefly on July 24th at noon. And we're done.